So good morning to one and all, and let me take the privilege of introducing Mr. Suryanarayana Kolachena, who has 38 years of more than 38 years of experience, which includes 24 years in TCS and 14 plus years in HAL Hyderabad. He performed various and diversified roles in his career and was involved in consultancy assignments, and that include management consultancy and IT systems development, strategy and governance, BPR, ERP systems implementation. And these projects he has taken up in both government and private sectors. He has domain experience in manufacturing, maintenance and quality, and HR functional areas. He has performed various roles in TCS and HAL, which some of which I would like to mention here. He he has been the senior consultant and the group leader, facilitator, program director, and relationship manager, and the project manager. And then he has spearheaded so many projects in which and in I mean which include assisting the government, and he was also actively involved in various government related projects through TCS and HAL. So, and he has also been certified as the quality assessor under series ISO 9000 quality systems. And he has also presented papers and was involved in designing processes, methodologies for IT systems and integrations related to mergers and acquisitions. So the list goes on and on. So since he doesn't like to be described in much broader ways, so I think it's a privilege that we have Mr. Suryanarayana Kolachena on this platform, and he has kindly consented to give a talk on skills for the future, in which he is an expert, and he has given so many presentations and advice to several bodies also. So a warm welcome to you, sir, onto the platform. And then from here, would you please take it up?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Swamy.
The pleasure is ours, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Very good morning, all. I would like to begin by mentioning Jack Welch, who was the erstwhile CEO of GE, one of the big MNCs in the world. His famous statement, which I heard through my IIM days when I was doing a post-graduation in management, this stuck with me. And I quote, "Businesses have to change. Businesses have to adapt to the changes in the environment. And if the pace of change in the environment is accelerating, now businesses will also have to cope with that accelerated pace of change. If the pace of change of a business organization falls back and cannot catch up with the kind of changes that are happening in the environment, such businesses are surely going to die." That was his famous statement. I quote him for the simple reason that business disruptions are happening all over the world and at an increased pace. And therefore, the skill needs of organizations, the skill needs of employees working in the organization, they also have to change, because through these abilities of the employees, their skills and their competencies, that's how performance of an organization is measured, and that's how performance is achieved also. I'm reminded by one of our professors at Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore, who on the first day of a talk on a course called Organization Behavior told us performance is a function of two variables: ability of an individual and the willingness of the individual to use those abilities in solving problems for the organization that he or she is working for. And P performance is a function of ability multiplied by willingness. And what is ability? Our professor defined ability as the sigma, the sum of your knowledge, your skills, and your competencies. Knowledge could be acquired. Knowledge could be acquired through books, through colleges, through teachers, through various other gurus. Skills is not that easy to acquire. Skills need practice. Without practice, you cannot become a good programmer. You cannot become a good carpenter. You cannot become a good welding specialist. You cannot become a good machinist, or you take any other profession, not even a teaching profession. Like you cannot become a good teacher without practice too. So skill is something comes out of practice. Unfortunately, what is happening of late is the skills that are being acquired at educational institutions, which are very, very limited. The knowledge part, yes, the colleges fulfill the requirement a lot. But skills, it's not just the skills about applying the knowledge that you have acquired at colleges, but the skills that you acquire out of your curriculum through, that is beyond your syllabus. These all become necessary because not every skill can be taught at a college or at a university. So that's where the dilemma is, that you always find a gap between what the industry wants from an employee who is being recruited, a new person being recruited as an employee, versus the skills and the knowledge set that the interviewee is bringing it to an interview. The interviewer's expectations from an organization perspective are so huge nowadays vis-a-vis the skill set that is brought to the table by an interviewee. And that's why, at least in India, I have heard several times, several organization recruitment agencies and organization HR people telling us that, we don't get the right candidate nowadays. Just to give you a small statistic on this, last year, in the year 2019, Deloitte Consulting did a study of various educational institutions in India and the kind of skill sets that are required for an organization. It could be any organization, any sector of the economy. What they say is 53% of vacancies in organizations in India went a-begging because the right skilled candidate was not available for the organization. And on the other hand, we talk of huge unemployment of engineering graduates, postgraduates, various graduates in different disciplines in the country. Huge unemployment. So this is the dichotomy we face, and therefore this topic is highly relevant today. Okay. Let me open up the presentation and then we will go ahead on the topic. So let's talk about this topic. This topic is close to my heart. I have been an academic relationship manager for Tata Consultancy Services for nearly 4 years. And I visited a number of institutions, both in Hyderabad and across the country, for the purpose of recruitment for my company. So I used to conduct a number of interviews myself. I also used to give some pre-placement talks to the students of various university colleges. Let me just share one example before I open up the presentation. A final year electronics and communication engineering student a few years back. This happened, I think, in around 2013, about 7 years ago. And this final year student was sitting in front of me, attending the interview, and I was supposed to check on her skills, her awareness levels about the subject and also beyond the subjects. So, and she was the topper in her class of about 50 students in that college. She was the topper. Her academic track record was excellent. When I had gone through her resume before she entered the interview hall. So she sat in front of me, and my first question to her was, so which subjects among ECE discipline you like most? Tell me one subject. She simply said, sir, microprocessors is my favorite subject. Okay. I said, my next question to her was, please name 5 manufacturers of microprocessor chips. Give me 5 names. She immediately told me, sir, that is not there in our syllabus. I said, what? What do you mean? It is not there in your syllabus? What does that mean? She said, no, sir, I can vouch for it. None of our books that we have gone through talk about manufacturers of microprocessors. I said, you don't have to see them in the books. Have you visited your labs? Yeah, we have our electronics and communication engineering labs, sir. Yes, we do have labs and we do go and work there. And then I told her immediately, what did you see in your labs? So there were so many motherboards on which we work, various chips, she said. On the motherboards, printed circuit boards we saw and all that. Then I said, what did you see on the chip? Immediately she said, sir, Motorola. I said, give me 4 more names. Then I just looked at the laptop in front of me, which was there, and I told her, just see on the other side of the laptop. Then she said, sir, Intel. Then I told her, how come you see it is not there as part of your syllabus? It is there in your lab. Is lab work not part of your syllabus? So she kept quiet. She said, sorry. But why I took up this example, friends, is for the simple reason an electronic student trying to tell me that her favorite subject was microprocessors does not want to even go beyond her textbooks prescribed for ECE to know a little more about microprocessors, which she claims is her most favorite subject. So this is what is the kind of situations you face when you attend interviews. I have attended several such interviews, and therefore I see the skill gap. It is not just the knowledge part there that I'm talking about. It's that interest, it's that passion, it's that that urge and that fire in the belly to know things, to know how things work. And I think the faculty also are responsible to some extent, because they also don't really, their job, their objective seems to be, I must complete the syllabus prescribed for the examination for the students, whether they teach them anything else or not. So this is the context under which I'm talking of this topic. Let me first go to the global context as what's happening across the globe. You will find that the pace of changes across the globe, they are accelerating. There is accelerating pace of change across the globe. And what kind of changes are happening? Business climate and business processes are undergoing disruptive changes. New systems, new technologies, new integrations of business processes, end-to-end integration of business processes are occurring and the business climate itself has become highly dynamic. And that's the context in which I quoted Jack Welch. And if the organizations don't adapt to those changes quickly, at the pace at which the changes are occurring in the environment, such organizations will have huge challenges to face. So that was one point. And the demographics of the workforce itself is changing hugely. I just would like to quote one small statistic here. Usually the workforce would be in the age group of 18 to 59 years. That is considered the workforce anywhere in the world. So any country, every country will have some demographics. And the demographics of some of the advanced countries, like in Japan or in Germany, you find that the workforce is aging. It will have its own impact on the ability of such an employee, their dexterity, their precision, etc. They will be affected with age. Age is a factor. Another factor is flexible working hours for employees. Okay, and work from anywhere. So be ready to work from anywhere with any other team sitting anywhere in the world, or several teams also. So that is the order of the day. That is the way the employees have to be geared up to work, to do the regular work, and the regular work patterns themselves are changing a lot. And that's where the demographic part comes. And socioeconomic disruptions, most of you are aware, the kind of security environment that is prevalent across the globe, the kind of poverty, the kind of economic downturns that happen. And recent example is the way the COVID-19 pandemic has created a huge paradigm shift in the way nations interact, in the way organizations within nations have to cope up with such calamities. So these are some of them. And apart from this, across the globe, there are new technologies which are coming up very, very fast into the market. And they beg you to use them because they're going to give better productivity, better efficiency for the organizations. And organizations actually have to lap them up, because if they don't, they will fall behind other competitors, and their competitive edge in the marketplace can come down. And therefore, always they are aware of what are these emerging new technologies and how can we exploit them into our own markets, and how do we expand our markets. So these are the drivers for the skills. What also is happening is employers' growing needs for the right fit skill sets. It's not just the skill set is available in the marketplace. Let me give you one small statistic. This is an ILO study, and their prediction for India by 2030 AD, 290 million amongst the workforce age group 18 to 59 years age group, 290 million workforce will have deficient skills. That's an estimate ILO has made, and is a huge, therefore, need not only for India, but for many countries in the world to catch up with all these skill set requirements. Otherwise, I told you, 2019, 53% of organizations in India have put up vacancies, but could not fulfill them because the right fit skill was not there. It's not available. On the other hand, the existing skill sets of employees, the shelf life of those skills is getting shortened as new emerging technologies come up. You will find that nowadays, just as an example I might want to give you here, when an organization like in India, several universities still teach COBOL and Java as the programming languages. COBOL we learned in the 70s and 80s, but now at least COBOL has gone out of the scene. But even object-oriented programming techniques like Java, Java+, C#, C+, these are all were being used till recently, but nowadays an interviewer going for a campus interview to a college, his first question to even a computer sciences graduate is, have you learned Python? Python is de facto becoming the language for all automation requirements, particularly in machine learning, artificial intelligence, and these kinds of emerging new technology areas. So if you have not learned Python, we cannot take you. Sir, I will learn that in about 2-3 months, sir, give me an opportunity. So the response from the interviewer would be, you cannot be doing this at our expense. We expect you to be productive from day one in our organization. So learn this outside and then come back to us. We will then test you and then we'll interview you and check whether you can be selected or not. So these are the kinds of demands I have seen interviewers asking students at engineering colleges and telling the faculty and the administrators of the college, why don't you teach the latest programming languages? Why do you teach outdated languages? And the response from the faculty at least is, sir, there is no faculty here who can teach these new age programming tools. So this is the dichotomy. Last but not the least, the gaps in skill sets, the disconnect between industry and academia. Academia always lags the industry in terms of, coming up with new emerging technologies, knowledge, and imparting such skills to their students. The industry laps it up first because the industry has a dire need for them, and the industry will have to change itself. It will have to re-engineer itself very frequently because the business climate is changing. So the impact is felt by the industry first, and academia feel this impact only much later when there is a lot of demand from the industry. See, every candidate we recruit from your colleges, from your universities, we have to spend an enormous amount internally within the organization to train them and bring them up to speed. We expect this to be happening at the university end. Whereas even today, as we speak, more and more organizations spend more and more time in training a recruited candidate on today's skills. Okay, because these skills are not being taught in the universities. This is happening everywhere, all over the world. And one major phenomenon that we see happening is most of the universities, the reputed universities nowadays, offer STEM courses: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics courses. They are including them as part of their curriculums nowadays because these huge gaps, disconnect that is there between industry needs and academia's output, because the output of the academia is the raw material for the organizations. If the raw material is not good, is not fit, is not the right fit, then there will be problems. So the dire need now is reskilling and upskilling. Upskilling an existing employee with certain defined skill sets because they'll have to be skilled in some newer day technologies and their applications. Reskilling is also because there is outdated methods of manufacture. One example I am giving, the skill is shifting from man to machine. Machine learning, artificial intelligence, automation, they are all driving away skills. Even programming skill nowadays is moving away from the programmer to the system. And what you learn or how to define some functions, and the rest is done by the language. And that's what Python does. So the skills are getting shifted from man to the machine or to a system. So reskilling and upskilling is a felt need. I'll quickly go through some Indian context. I have already mentioned to you a few. Let me just mention to you through one more slide. India aspires to become a global manufacturing hub. Government policies are geared towards self-reliance. Atmanirbhar Bharat is the new slogan from our Prime Minister in India. Huge skill gap between industry needs and academia. I've already mentioned that. There are national skill development centers set up in the country with the public and private partnership, 49% stakes for the Ministry of Education, Government of India, and 51% stakes for the industry associations in India like Confederation of Indian Industry, FICCI, SHOCHEM, and others. They have set up this national skill development centers only to address this huge skill gap between the industry requirement and what the academic institutions provide. ILO estimate, I have already mentioned this to you, 29 million. I'm sorry, I said 290 million. I think it is 29 million jobs skill deficit in India by 2030 AD. A few more under the Indian context. Organizations increasingly are being technology driven and data driven. Computer literacy, digital literacy, information and communication technologies literacy have become absolutely essential. Whatever may be your discipline, whatever may be your graduation course, whatever may be your post-graduation course, these are becoming absolutely essential. These are necessary skills now. And unfulfilled vacancies in jobs, greater than 53% companies in 2019 reported unfulfilled vacancies because they don't have the right skilled resource being recruited. It's the age of IoT, Internet of Things, big data, artificial intelligence, robotics, machine learning, animations, 3D printing. These are all the technologies. And I'll also show you a statistic where some of these technologies have spread so much. They're already occupying around 50 to 60% of the industry space in terms of their requirements. So these have become necessary skills for the next 5 to 10 years time frame. Without these skills, employees will not be in a position to work and contribute. Okay. Apart from that, cognitive skills, holistic systems thinking skills, holistic systems thinking skills, and critical thinking, logical reasoning, mathematical modeling, these kinds of skills, which currently, when I did my engineering, none of the skills were taught. But even today, you don't find most of the skills being taught as part of the, if you go and see a 4-year engineering curriculum syllabus for every branch of engineering, you don't find systems thinking as a part of their subject. You don't find in most of the colleges. A few of the reputed institutions have started offering these kinds of, because they think these skills are essential. Because the organizations are demanding these kinds of skills now. Okay. Emerging technologies, the skill needs. Here is this I will take out. Okay. Oh, sorry. Here is new technology areas put on the first column. The type of need, whether it's an ability or whether it's a basic skill or whether it's a cross-functional skill. Most of these new technology areas require these types of skills which are shown in the third column: cognitive flexibility, creativity, logical reasoning, mathematical modeling, problem sensitivity, visualization. These are all required nowadays, particularly when you are looking at virtual reality, augmented reality kinds of projects that are being taken up. Physical, you need the dexterity, manual dexterity, the eye hand coordination, etc., for your skills. For example, driving skill. Okay. Precision, nature of some of this. So physical ability is also to some degree required. That's why the scale of skill demand in 2020 and what will be that average growth in that particular skill area by 2025 is what is shown in the last column as two figures. For example, if you take robotics and autonomous transport as the new technology area, they require process skills also to a large extent. That's why I put it there. But of course, process skills will be required elsewhere too. But process skills, active listening, critical thinking, monitoring self and others. In any project, you require these kinds of skills. Those process skills are not taught as a subject in organizations. They may teach you in one semester what do we mean by functional processes of an organization. There could be usually one semester course for a duration of 6 months about these kinds of skills, particularly process skills, system skills, and social skills. These are not, you don't find them as a part of the curriculum of university education. But look at process skills, 18%. You need to be having a very good knowledge of the processes and you need to be skilled in applying the process because your quality is determined by the process. Whether it's a product or whether it's a service that you are working for, the quality of the output would be as good as the process quality. 18% is the skill set needs of process oriented skills as on today in 2020, and the growth that is seen in that is about 39% more by 2025 AD. So that is how we need to interpret this particular slide. And the figures in the last column I have given are based on a study report of World Economic Forum, which studied various skill needs in different emerging technology areas. Okay, and that was done in 2018, and it is an extract of that particular study. Source I have put on the left hand side: Future of Jobs Survey, World Economic Forum Report 2018. Now, that is the kind of skill sets that will be required. And here I have put the technology area and the very specific workforce skills that will be required in that particular technology area. This is for information. If you just look at one technology which is now spread a lot, is artificial intelligence. And some of the questions that are asked of the interviewees are, can you model a problem? I will define the problem to you. Can you come out with a mathematical model, a definition of that problem situation? We learn through a subject called operations research some quantitative techniques like simplex programming, okay, dynamic programming, and such others, so that you will develop that ability to model a business problem of an organization. Unfortunately, businesses look for these kinds of skills, and very few university colleges have seen, at least in India, I'm not well aware about other nations. At least in India, I can vouch for that they don't have such a subject. Or operations research as a subject where quantitative techniques are taught so that you can become skilled in that, like queuing theory, simulation, programming, simplest programming, and end machines, end products kinds of problem situations that you frequently encounter in job shop production organizations. You can solve them using mathematical modeling. But if modeling is not taught, how will they do? How can they bring out an optimal performance in their shop floor situations? So these kinds of skill needs are now being recognized more and more colleges are now coming back to a subject called engineering mathematics or applied mathematics, where trigonometry, calculus, and these things are dealt, advanced calculus and others are dealt, so that you can utilize these mathematical techniques that you learn and apply them to business problems. This is currently being done in artificial intelligence in a big way. I'm just giving you one example. Similarly, in robotics, critical thinking becomes absolutely necessary because a robot is a system. So you require that complex problem solving skill to be able to divide a major problem, complex problem, into its constituent individual elements, be able to solve at a elemental level, and then integrate and then try to see what kind of a solution would be optimal at a problem, at a huge problem level, at a system level. It's called systems thinking. These kinds of requirements are very much essential. These kinds of skills have become extremely essential nowadays. Cloud computing and applications, we are all aware how everything nowadays is stored on the cloud. The storage capacities, the kind of cloud tools that you are going to work with, and cloud security protocols that you will have to work with, database management and big data computing. This is a new buzzword that we keep hearing. The most number of jobs that are being advertised nowadays is for a data analyst by most large organizations who deal with huge volumes of data, whether it's in the retail industry, whether it is in the travel, tourism, and hospitality industry, or whether it is a huge manufacturing firm, or whether it's a banking firm or insurance company. They deal with huge volumes of data, and big data analysis and Hadoop tool, machine learning algorithms, statistical models. These have become the kind of skills that one should be. In fact, talking about statistical models, they are used almost every day whenever clinical trials are done on patients for a new drug by pharmaceutical companies. And a pharmaceutical company, we might wonder, why do they need engineers? Engineers are required for these kinds of jobs to be done. Advanced manufacturing and 3D printing is another new area where computer-aided design, software, computational modeling, analytical skills, programming skills are also required there, and the knowledge of engineering materials, okay, and manufacturing methods. These become extremely important. So this is one more slide talking of some more areas. Let me talk about one area here, 5G technology, which is becoming quite a controversial topic right now with China and Chinese trying to advance their markets, to grow their markets in this communication space. 5G technology requires fundamentals of radio frequency knowledge, electronic spectrum. Okay, the spectrum knowledge is required. Network functioning knowledge is required. Software-defined networks and network splicing, edge computing, Python as a language, JavaScript. These are essential skills if you want to work on as a part of the workforce in 5G technology area. It's a growing field. virtual reality, augmented reality also. And blockchain technology is another new area where you require deep business knowledge too. And where do you get business knowledge? It's only from experience. Unfortunately, you cannot recruit a candidate and ask them to be productive from day one by working through some blockchain technology. You cannot, because organizations, the academic institutions cannot teach you the deep business knowledge, whether it's about finance, whether it's about insurance, whether it's about manufacturing, whether it's about healthcare, whether it's about telecom. These are all sectors of the economy where the business processes are becoming complex and complex. And you as a university engineering student, if you are facing an interview and you can only talk theoretically about blockchain technology. So there is a dire need for the industry, when they want the raw material from the academic institutions, to also play their role, their part in ensuring the right candidate comes out of the college portals and ready to join the industry and be productive from day one. That's a dream for the organizations. So organizations need to do their role there. By how? I will talk up some of those recommendations, and then I can take up some questions from you. These are the recommendations. I have gone through a number of reports of various committees that have been formed in India. I was a member of one such committee as an academic relationship manager for TCS, working for various government projects. So I did this study for some of the public sector organizations in the country, and some of the recommendations, and these recommendations are general. They are applicable to all other countries too, not just India, but specifically keeping Indian context in mind, I put up these recommendations. A high priority is intensive collaboration between stakeholders. And who are the stakeholders? The ministry, education ministry, industries ministry, various ministries under which various organizations work who have workforce skill requirements. I'm talking of all those industries as stakeholders. The organizations or organization groups like CII, FICCI, SHM, these kinds of organizational representatives who represent the majority of the organizations in the country, they are stakeholders. The universities, the University Grants Commission, and the universities across the country, in every country, I would say, these are the main stakeholders, apart from students, who are one of the main stakeholders. So together, there must be a lot of intensive collaboration between these stakeholders to overhaul the university curriculum to include STEM stream subjects. Not only STEM stream subjects, but also all the new emerging technology areas. The immediate challenge for the universities would be, no, we don't have trained faculty to teach them, nor we can set up such labs. Very, very costly for us to set up such a lab, even if we train our faculty elsewhere. So the industry will have to come up with some solutions here. I agree, I tend to agree there. To teach some of this new science, technology, engineering, and mathematics and such subjects, you require good expertise, and you require people, experienced professionals from the industry, actually could be taking some sabbaticals, can go and teach in the universities. This is one way. Already, when I was working for TCS, we mooted this by starting some finishing school kind of a concept at the colleges. Some of the colleges, select colleges in Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, and in Tamil Nadu states of India, TCS collaborated with these university colleges who run their university syllabus, and we became members of that curriculum framing and syllabus forming teams in various disciplines. And when they don't have faculty to teach a particular advanced area subject, and we offered our expertise for about a semester or for maybe 2 semesters. And we also helped the colleges to select few students from each one of these disciplines who have that willingness and passion and enthusiasm to learn more beyond their syllabus. We took them to take up industry related problems in our Tata Consultancy Services various divisions, and on different sector area problems, business problems. And they worked along with the regular project teams in finding solutions to those problems. And that becomes their final year project work too. Of course, we used to camouflage all the data that we might be getting from our client, and we have our own non-disclosure agreements with our clients. So they mask the data, and still the project report can be submitted by the candidate at the university to get their degree or postgraduate degree. So this kind of a collaboration is something essential and in a big way, not only in India, but in various other countries. Training and qualification of faculty. And this can be done at some of the select institutes, reputed institutes of higher learning, where if centers of excellence are set up for different emerging new technology areas, at these higher institutes of higher learning, we can have this area, say robotics, as a huge a center of excellence being set up at one of the IITs in India, or at the Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, etc. And then faculty of various engineering colleges being trained there and being qualified to become a qualified teacher in that emerging area. So that is one way. That's also high priority. Creation of learning factories. We have an existing infrastructure, national skill development centers. There are a few thousands of centers now operating across the country. But of course, there's a lot of infrastructure upgradation, kinds of lab creation should occur, so that you create a learning factory atmosphere at this national skill development centers, where individuals can get trained in very specific areas, like say computer-aided design. Any student who has completed 12th standard should be in a position to learn about computer-aided design with little amount of literacy on computers. You don't have to be an engineering graduate to learn these kinds of skills. There are tools available nowadays to teach you. And there are online tools too, where you can learn at your leisure, at home. There's no dearth of the learning material. What is deficient are setting up such lab facilities, the infrastructure, and then the faculty. So these will have to be built currently. That's learning factories. Involve industry experts for specialized training, guide students' project works on practical problems of industry organizations. And through paid internships also. This concept too worked for us. We took students from IIT. IIT is a postgraduate finance stream training institute based out of Hyderabad. And we visited IIT, talked to their faculty, and they will also have to do as part of their curriculum a project work. We offered them project work in our finance, banking, insurance streams. They worked with us, they developed learning material, they developed certain tools, and those tools will become the property of Tata Consultancy Services to use them for their future. But they are getting paid for their project work too, and they learn highly application oriented projects that they work on. So this is the kind of collaboration. And industry to accept student groups on mini projects using organization facilities, equipment and tools, because academia cannot provide these kinds of facilities. Their budgets, their methodologies, their mindset is not geared up for these. It's only the industries who can do this. So during summer vacations, right from the second year summer vacation, okay, when they start learning their stream subjects, okay, chosen discipline subjects, that's when they can be involved with these kinds of projects and give practical training to them. That skill, once they get trained practically at the organizations, will be of immense value for the candidate when later when they pass out of the college to be productive from day one for the organization, which is what the organization looks for. So digital literacy and ICT literacy, a must for all graduate courses. Even now, there are a number of graduate courses in the country where these are not being taught. And the candidates usually get themselves trained on some of these things outside the institution. And last but not the least, strengthen vocational training at technical training institutes. There are several private technical training institutes in the country. Like, one technical training institute is NIIT. They have done pioneering work, huge work in the country for developing training materials and also imparting those training and skills in computers and in various programming languages and in advanced computing techniques and others. So these technical training institutes and also the ITIs that the government and the state governments run in different parts of the country. So these are some of the recommendations I have. Some of them are taking shape, like for example, the first one, the STEM subjects. If you go to any of the reputed universities across US and also in Europe, STEM has become a buzzword nowadays. STEM skills. These are skills which are cross-functional skills. Earlier, I talked about cross-functional skills. Okay, in this particular one. That's cross-function. What are those kinds of cross-functional skills? Resource management skills. That's about financial resources, money, material resources. When you're working in some manufacturing company where you use raw materials, resource also include people management and time management. On projects, resource management is a very, very important skill that will have to be acquired. And most of the organizations have also become project oriented in their thinking. They run the organization by executing projects. So this resource management skill, which is not taught in colleges, could be one such cross-functional area where STEM takes care of these kinds of skills requirements. Technical skills, of course, equipment maintenance and repair. To give you a very good example here, I'll just close giving this example. I did my mechanical engineering from Regional Engineering College, Warangal, now called NIT Warangal, National Institute of Technology. Throughout my 5 years, I have not learned what is maintenance. How do you maintain and repair machinery? I learned about mechanics of machinery. I learned about design of machining elements. I learned about machines, how they run, but I have not learned how to repair or how to maintain a machine in good working condition. That I learned only after joining HAL. When I joined HAL, the area that I was put to the designation was maintenance engineer. I have not even looked at how a direction control valve looks at my college. I have worked on lathe machines at my college in our workshop. But when I come and start working in HAL, they have CNC machining centers, where already the skill has been transferred of cutting a raw material using turning methods on a lathe machine that has been transferred to the machine already. You only program the machine to run a particular tool and cut a particular raw material. So whatever we have learned at the college, you don't apply, and you will have to learn afresh, upskill yourself with some new skills like maintenance and repair skills. That's a technical skill, okay, which is rarely taught in engineering colleges. Equipment operation and control, program quality control, UA design. What is a user-friendly UA design? How does it look? How should the front panel of an electronic equipment look? Where should we position what and why? What is an ergonomic design there, etc., etc. These are all were taught from experience at the organizations, and how to troubleshoot if something goes wrong. These are skills which are cross-functional skills. Similarly, systems thinking skill. Social skills also. How to persuade an employee. How to build a team. How to coordinate with a number of external suppliers or with your customers when you become the project manager for a new project. So these are all to be skills which have to be acquired either at the university, if not at the university, definitely outside, if you want to really sell yourself in the marketplace and find a secure job for yourself. We have to constantly upgrade our skills also, because the technologies are changing so fast. This is what, in a nutshell, I wanted to talk about. Thank you very much. Any questions, please?
Yes.
Yeah,
I have a question.
before just a second before we go for questioning, let me thank Suryanarayana garu. Sir, thank you.
Thank you very
Just
much.
a second, sir. So, will you come on to this screen? I mean, screen in
Yes, yes.
switch to camera.
I
Active
will,
speaker. Yeah, can
yeah,
close. Stop screen sharing.
yeah.
Sir, thank you very much for that very informative and enlightening presentation. And I'm sure that this has got a lot of content, and then each and every word that you have used is weighted. On the surface, it looks like probably it's a general way of describing, but then on closer observation, I felt that we need to watch it maybe 3 or 4 times in order to glean the message in every careful word that you've chosen. That's what I understood, and especially the cross-functional skills and the other areas that you described in terms of the skills needed, and they are really informative. They are eye-opening, and then this will be useful for many people, especially the educationists and the people who are involved in the curriculum. I hope it will be very, very useful for all of us. Sir, thank you for giving this presentation, and then we are always grateful to you. And then we also request you formally to extend your help in this endeavor, sir. Thank you so much.
Surely.
And with that note, I'd like to ask the participants. You can interact with Mr. Suryanarayana, and then you can clarify any questions.
Can we open that?